Greetings viewers, EricTheCarGuy here, back with another Fairmont project video for you. Today I'd like to get the Fairmont rolling. Right now there is no wheels and nothing to attach the front wheels to. Therefore we need to make a front suspension, which I'm intent on doing in this video here today. I will be doing the front struts and also the front coil springs and installing these Camber caster plates for several reasons, which I'll probably cover later in the video. Anyway, if you have a Fox body and you need to do the front suspension either with the coil springs or these Camber caster plates, this video is for you. Let's get started. Step one, we're going to install these Camber caster plates in these upper strut mounts so our struts have something to attach to. Why are these special? Well, these are special because they allow a lot more movement to adjust the alignment, especially in a vehicle that has been lowered, which my vehicle has been lowered. Also, I am not running power steering. Therefore, I'm going to try to play around with caster a little bit to make my steering effort a little bit easier. These plates will make that super easy to do. So we'll get these installed and then we'll go for the rest of the stuff. All right, step one, I'm gonna remove these fasteners and throw them on the shop floor. You have to bend over to pick something up at least once during the course of any repair that you're doing. I think you may notice if you look at both sides of these that they're placed opposite. So this side has the adjusters over here and that side has the adjusters in the back. It seems kind of weird, but it's just the way they set it up. Anyway, I'll put a link in the description to these so that you can check out this particular brand, but installation is going to be similar across the board. So now that I have the fasteners out, I can just take that part of the assembly and I'm going to fish this up through the bottom in the fender here. And I have a feeling that it may require a bit of adjustment. Maybe need to give it a little lub taps to get it to come up through here. Now activating PP vision. There we are. Huh. I guess I am going to have to clearance those because now what's happened is they've spread apart enough to where that won't go on there, and that's no bueno. But it seems silly that they wouldn't make this to fit. I mean, you know where it's going. Why make it slightly off? Chinese manufacturing. Now previously, this was not covered in any videos, but I went through and when I removed the old struts and everything, there was a little bit of rust in this area. So I cleaned that rust up and just put some paint on it. And this was the closest thing I got to match. I didn't do the entire engine compartment. Don't yell at me. This is a piece of art. It's my art. Anyway, I just did this area. Now I'm regretting doing that because I'm about to create bare metal in one of these holes. So if you are going to be doing some detailing of your engine compartment, doing painting, that type of thing before you install these, check the fit and make sure that you don't have to do this first. No, still needs a little more. Yay. Well, that's more like it. All right, these don't have to be run down tight, not until the alignment is done. Just need to hold everything in place. One other thing I did, which bears mentioning, is before I got to this point, I noticed on the car, let me show you on the other side before I start over there. All right, on these strut towers, there were these weld marks, and some of them had a piece that was sticking up, a burr, if you will. I went and deburred these before I did the paint, and the reason being is that plate needs to slide around on top here, and if there's burrs sticking up, it can prevent it from sliding easily. I'm going to run these down snug but not tight. But as you can see, this is going to locate the strut just about wherever I want it. So whether I'm doing a camber adjustment or a caster adjustment, it allows me a lot more leeway. It's kind of nice that you can adjust caster separately. Now, be sure if you do install a set of these that you check for hood clearance before you just slam your hood closed. This is still going to have a nut and a little bit of the strut sticking up out of the top here. So you want to make sure that you've got proper hood clearance. I'm just laying my hand here about where the hood will go. But before you drop the hood down, check it, do it gently. In a previous episode, I installed the Camber, which had these lower control arms and everything in here. And this is where the new coil spring is going to live. I'm going to need to put a jack underneath this control arm, likely to compress the coil spring. I don't want to mess up the grease fittings, so I'm just going to remove the grease fittings now and put them back in when I'm all done with this work, and I'll lube everything up once I get everything in place. Now I'm going to get my coil springs ready. I have some polyurethane mounts for the top and bottoms. These will have to slide onto here, and these will sit on the tops of the springs to help keep them quiet, make the ride just ever so slightly smoother, ever so slightly, just a little bit. It's still going to be a cool ride. But I think silicone is the best thing to lubricate rubber with. That was a lot of work, but I suspect without that silicone, that would have sucked. These will just sit on the top there, ready to install. And yes, that spring is all the way down to the end there. I just left a little bit in there. All right, those are prepped out. Now I want to get the spindles in place, and I'll get the struts installed. Now these struts, I actually got these from a viewer who sold me the Camber and a bunch of suspension parts. It was awesome. You'll notice all these attachment points up the top here on these struts. You don't need any of that. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to get everything attached except for this top nut, which I'm going to slip up through those Camber caster plates that we just installed. It seems to me just putting the one fastener there is like the easiest way, rather than trying to get these two fasteners connected down here on the knuckle. So these will already be attached to the knuckle and everything before I ever put the coil springs in. Do it one side at a time, hope it all comes together. The Camber caster plates also came out with some spacers and washers. I'll probably end up using the washers, but I don't know if I'll need the spacers or not. Just going to remove the center nut on these. This is 15/16. It may be different on yours. Don't know. There's no spring pressure or anything. You just take this off. This was spinning inside the strut, which is why I did that. But I can now remove all of that. So, not going to be using any of this, which is a shame because those are brand new bushings. Although if you've noticed, their Camber caster plates are solid up at the top, which means it's going to be a little louder, a little harsher, but a lot more accurate. It'll be a driving machine. Okay, I'll admit, that one's been off previously. I had to check to see the fit. Now we've got just the tops of the struts. Looks like the bump stop is still in there. It's all good. Check the other ones. Also there. No leaks, no nothing. Looks good. These knuckles came in a kit that included my 5-lug conversion and everything else. I believe these are off of like 94 and up Mustangs. Might even be the Cobra version. So you may be able to find these in salvage. I'll put a link once again in the description to stuff that I'm using. Yeah, it's nice to know that it's fitting. You know what I'm going to do first? I'm going to find the appropriate size cotter pins. Seems like it would be easier to do now rather than trying to fish it through the nut. Hey, that looks like a good one. Whoa, that went down there a lot. In fact, so far down it's past the cotter pin. Yeah, look at that. It's just sliding. I got an idea. Well, I'm sure you're concerned that this may not be the right spindle, may not work. But I take the boot off, and I can just slide this down on there, and it does slide down. Thing is there's not enough of this sticking up. Now, in that Camber caster kit, it came with these spacers, which happen to be the perfect size. Therefore, I'm going to use them. Unconventional? Yes. Does it work? Also yes. There. Now it's working as an appropriate ball joint. Just got to line up that cotter pin. Of course, it doesn't land anywhere near it. Ah, so close. Ah, nailed it. Other side. Now, you might be saying, Eric, why don't you just replace the ball joints? Well, I think these came with these control arms, and I'm not sure where to get them. But this seems to work. So if it's going to work, I'm going to do it. That side cooperated nicely. I will now install the strut, and then I'll check to see if I can fish it up in here. At least that part fits. I don't know if this plan will work. It might. Seems to be enough travel here. And that's the thing, I gotta get it to where I can aim it up through this once I get the coil spring in place. So I gotta shoot it up through there, which looks almost doable. Let's check that one more time. Yeah, if it'll happen. Gotta see if we can stuff this coil spring in here. Now you'll note, this is where the bottom of the coil spring sits. There's a notch cut out here. That's where that part of the spring fits into. So when this goes in here, you want to just sort of seat it like that. And yeah. And now we'll see if we can stuff this up in here with a floor jack. Given that this side is hanging down, I don't want that right now. I want to sort of keep it up in the air. So just tie it up. It'd be exciting to put some wheels on this today. If the engine's in the car, I don't think this is going to be that difficult. These are lowering springs, so there's not as much to them as there would be with like regular stock springs. This drops them down about an inch and a quarter in the front, so there's less of them to compress. But regular size springs, probably in for a fight. Just gonna try to get this headed in the right direction. Be careful with springs. There is so much potential energy there. So much. Maybe a pry bar. Honestly, in the end, this may be easier to do by bringing the ball joint up to the strut rather than the way I'm doing it here. I honestly don't know. This seemed like it would be easier. This is harder than it looks. I'm gonna try adding a little silicone to the outside of this so it wants to slide into its perch a little better. I'm gonna use paste for this though, so it'll stick around a little bit longer. If it looks like it sucks, it does. I don't know if this idea is going to work or not, but I put these zip ties up under here to try to hold the spring back, because that's what's happening. It keeps wanting to move forward, and I needed to move back inside of its perch. That might have done it. That's the limit of my jack. If I can let the lift down a little bit. Yeah. Not enough weight. So freaking close. Maybe. Try it with a ratchet first. Now, ain't over yet. I gotta get a washer in there. In fact, got an idea. And then when it's on the ground, I've got the weight of the car on it. I can swap them out. Looks like it's in there, man. Right? I am sweating something fierce right now, and you can't turn the fan on because, you know, that's all you'll hear. One side done. That was a challenge. I'm gonna cut those zip ties out. It looks like it sat just down in its perch. The takeaways, start the spring out way away from the notch. When you go to pry it in, it's gonna spin right in there. Good luck. Other side. I want my wrench back. I think every zip tie that I've put in today has gone in backwards. Next car I do is getting airbags. Screw it. There's such a thing I'm going to refer to here called almost anxiety, where it's almost in, like every time, and it keeps you trying, and every time it kicks you in the teeth again. I think I'm gonna need you, cameraman Brian. I now have the wheels on. I'm able to lower the car, let the weight of the car, what there is of it, on these struts. I've taken off this upper nut. I'm able to install this bushing now. Gotta figure out which way it goes. I think like this. I don't want to crush the bushing too much. But I also need to make sure, once again, I get below the hood line here. That seems good. I need to throw stuff on the floor at least once. Seems happy. One more thing, when you get done with all this work, you gotta get an alignment done, because if not, it's gonna chew up your tires. Keep that in mind. Well, yes, coil springs, I knew it was gonna be a challenge, and these are lowering springs. Once again, stock springs are gonna be even more of a fight. Camber caster correction plates, those won't be too difficult at all. I couldn't get a spring compressor in there. If you can get a spring compressor in there, good for you. If you've got a better way of doing it, comments down below, or there'll be a link in the description to a discussion about this video. If you have automotive questions, please head over to EricTheCarGuy.com. There'll be a link in the description for that, along with other stuff in this video. If you wish to connect with me socially, there's Google+, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Close each of my videos with be safe, have fun, stay dirty. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.